Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I like making videos when I'm walking. I feel more comfortable doing it. But also, I say I'm in Guatemala. I'm up at 9,500 feet, and it's really a mixture when it comes to weather. And that is right now it's 54 degrees, and the sun is really hot. When you're out here in the sun, you will not believe it is 54 degrees. Now, if you were to go over here underneath the shade, then the 54 degrees seems more reasonable. It makes that much difference. But anyway, so that's why you see me wearing long sleeve t-shirts, and like I say, I'll have a jacket or vest or something like that, because it's the weather. The temperature changes that quick. You get a little cold, you get out in the sun, you sit in the sun. You get hot, you go in the shade. So, but anyway, back to subject. And the subject is exotic weapons. Now, first let me explain what exotic weapons are. Let's start with knives. And the reason I'm starting with knives is I had someone telling me that he's carrying whatever kind of knife. And it's one of these weird shaped and all this kind of stuff. If it's in the way of knives, if it's an exotic knife, I'm calling it an exotic knife. It's because it's got one use. And really what I'm thinking about is a fighting knife. That's really what I'm thinking about. I'm sure I've talked about knives. I've got specialty knives that I use on the ranch. If I'm in working around salt water and this type of stuff, I've got another type of knife. But these are special use knives, and they're more utility. There's more than one use. Now, when it comes to an exotic, especially an exotic fighting knife, I think people want to use them because they think they look cool. It's a cool looking knife. You see them on the movies. They'll use these kind of knives and this type of stuff. And that's what makes them exotic. They're not something that you see every day. Now, I'm not, and this is what I'm talking about. I am not for exotic. When it comes to knives, when you're fighting with an exotic knife, there's special techniques, special tactics that you use when you're using these knives. So, in other words, you need to practice a lot. Now, I practice 2 or 3 times a day on normal, everyday things. Broom handle, stick, staff, and I do the Tai Chi, using my hands. And so there's and that's just so I can use the stuff that I have. So if you're going to be using an exotic knife or any exotic weapon, you're going to be needing to do a lot of practice. A lot of practice. Now, I don't have very many, and that's another thing. This isn't show and tell, and this type of stuff. I'm not doing this kind of stuff. I am trying to explain exactly what it is, what exotic weapons are, and really you need to avoid them unless you are willing to put the time in to learn how to use it, because I'm practicing 2 or 3 times a day to use a stick in my hands. Why? So then when some stupid shit with an exotic weapon comes close to me, I'm going to shove that exotic weapon up their ass. That's why. Okay, so, but not everybody's like me. So in other words, a lot of times they'll use exotic weapons in a way of showing off for intimidation. That's what it is. Back to the same thing. You come across somebody like me, I don't get intimidated by that kind of crap. So, matter of fact, that tells me when you are showing me, for one thing, seldom you show a weapon. Seldom. I've made videos talking about how you do the proper way of showing stuff like that. But in normal self-defense and doing all this kind of stuff, you don't show weapons. So, and especially if you pull out some exotic thing, you know, I won't cut you any slack at all. Okay. Another exotic weapon would be in the way of handguns and rifles. That when you start, I'll put it this way: when I came back from Vietnam, I used the 45 a little bit in Vietnam, not really. A rifle, if you're going to get in a fight, a rifle's much better than a handgun. So, but I came back, and rifle's harder to conceal and to keep with you, so that's why I got the 45. And I started modifying it. And once I started modifying it, I am making it an exotic weapon. And the more I modified it, the more I made it better, so I could use it better. The more I did that, the less reliability I got out of it. And that's 45, Colt 45. So, and you heard me already talk about the ARs. You know, I'm not an AR kind of guy. And I have had ARs since I've been back in Vietnam. I had them in the 90s, and I had them in the 2000s. And and I say they're a fun weapon to make exotic. But it's the same thing. You cannot use it. It is not a usable thing. Oh, I'm sorry. You can use it by going to the range. I'm not a range kind of guy. Matter of fact, they don't even allow me in ranges. And I'm too dangerous for ranges. I don't do things right. And so the thing is, if you're playing and stuff, like I say, I've done the same thing. I've got weapons that are exotic that I stopped playing. I take that back. I've got exotic weapons, but they're not for playing. I've got a 22, a Ruger 1022. You know, plain old Ruger 1022. I've got over $2,500 in it, and I've got it set up that I can shoot an eyeball on a turtle in the water. So I had to make an exotic gun to be able to do that. But like I say, once you make them exotic, once you start modifying them and making them really cool, you're limiting their capabilities. I've got, talking about the 22s. Okay, I've got the, what was it, Mark 3 or Mark 4, whatever it is, a handgun. And it's suppressed, 22. And see, so it's been modified also. I've got over $2,000 in it, too. Both of them, I've had lots and lots of work done on the triggers and the firing pins to make them more reliable. Not mainly on the suppressed one, because that's the one I use in my counter-terror activities. And so that one, I try to get the maximum performance out of it. And but it's the same thing, because it's exotic, because it's had so many modifications on it. I am not even coming close to reliability. You can't get 100% reliability out of them. The more you do out of it, that's why the best is right out of the box. If they're not really good and reliable out of the box, you probably shouldn't be messing with it for self-defense. Now, I've got rifles, long-range rifles. Now, and the same thing. They're exotic. Their capabilities are beyond my capabilities. I can probably hit a basketball-sized target in 1,000, 1,200 yards, but I need to practice. I don't practice, so that's why I don't use it. I don't practice. It takes a lot of practice to shoot like that, and to be able to do it first shot takes a hell of a lot of practice. And so exotic weapons aren't that good unless you're planning on putting the time needed to get that exotic use out of it. Now, okay, I am saying all this because I am mainly into self-defense. I kind of got into self-defense after Vietnam. So I was 19 years old. I got a belly full of killing and violence.